snipers were told, but where they saw prey, this woman saw a predator. If he'd been a private, she'd have asked him what the bloody hell he thought he was gawping at. As it was, she said, "Nice weather we're having, sir." Prior smiled, amused, recognizing his mother's speech, the accent of working-class gentility. "Let's hope it lasts." He touched his cap and withdrew, thinking, as he strolled off, that the girl was neither a widow nor married. The way the mother's voice had cracked with panic over that word common said it all. Louis's knees were by no means glued together, even after the child. And her mother was absolutely right. With that fag stuck in her mouth, she did look common. Gloriously, devastatingly, fuckably common. He ought to be getting back to barracks. He had his medical in less than an hour, and it certainly wouldn't do to arrive gasping. He had no business to be drifting along the front looking at girls, but he looked anyway, hoarding golden fuzz on a bare arm, the bluish shadow between breasts thrust together by stays, breathing in lavender sharpened by sweat. The blare of music inside the fairground drew him to stand in the entrance. So far today, the only young men he'd seen had been in uniform, but here were men as young as himself in civilian dress. Munitions workers. One of them was chatting to a young girl with bright yellow skin. He felt the automatic flow of bile begin and turned away, forcing himself to contemplate the bald grass. A child, holding a stick of candy floss, turned to watch him, attracted to the man who stood so still among all the swirl and dazzle. He caught her looking at him and smiled, remembering the soft cotton-wool sweetness of candy floss that turned to clag on the roof of your mouth. She bridled and turned away, clutching her mother's skirt. Very wise. As he walked on, his smile faded. He could have been a munitions worker, he thought, kept out of danger, lined his pockets. His father would have wangled him a place in a nice, safe, reserved occupation, and would not have despised him for it either, unlike many fathers. The weedy little runt would at least have been behaving like a sensible, weedy little runt, refusing to fight in the boss's war. But he'd never seriously considered doing that. Why not? He wondered now. Because I don't want to be one of them, he thought, remembering a munitions worker's hand patting a girl's bottom as he helped her into the swing-boat. Not duty, not patriotism, not fear of what other people would think, certainly not that. No, a kind of fastidiousness. Once, as a small boy, he'd slipped chewed-up pieces of fatty mutton into the pocket of his trousers because he couldn't bring himself to swallow them, and his father, when the crime came to light, had said in tones of ringing disgust, "That bairn's too fussy to live." Too fussy to live, Prior thought. There you are, nowhere near France, and an epitaph already. The thought cheered him up enormously. By now, he was walking up the hill towards the barracks, a chest-tightening climb, but he was managing it well. His asthma was good at the moment, better than it had been for months. All the same, it might be as well to sit quietly somewhere for a few minutes before he went into the examination room. In the end, all he could do was to turn up in a reasonable state and answer the questions honestly, or at least tell no lies that were likely to be found out. The decision would be taken by other people. It always was. Though he had managed to take one decision himself. His thoughts shifted to Charles Manning and the last evening they'd spent together in London. "Have you stopped to think what's going to happen if you're not sent back?" Manning had asked. 6 months, at least 6 months, probably to the end of the war, making sure new recruits washed between their toes. Might have its moments, doing 101 completely routine jobs, each of which could be done equally well by somebody else. You'd be much better working at the ministry. I can't promise to keep the job open. No, thank you, Charles. No, thank you. He was passing the Clarence Gardens Hotel, where he'd been stationed briefly last winter before the summons to London came.